All right, so we are taking attendance for the 22nd, 23rd. Make sure you get that in. Other thing that we need to be doing is checking the grade book over here. And that whole entire gray section needs to be filled out. That's all your wellness. That's wellness 1 through 4 reading, quizzes. That's your project, your essay, and the exam. Okay? How do I know I'm filling that out? I'm going to go to my numbered tab. When I look in there, all my numbers should be filled out in green. Okay? We're going to skip the nutrition unit for now. We'll come back to it. We're going to go over to the purple AJ mental health unit. We're going to start doing those reading quizzes, the exam, the project, and the essay. Those are all under 10:19 to 10:30. Okay? That's how we track our grade. I can see if I'm getting everything in there if I just go over here and check the grade book. All right? What we're going to do today is open up the reading quiz. We're going to go to reading quiz 1. Which for some reason I am not seeing in here. Let me add it to this. Sorry about that. It should have been on there. I don't know why it's not showing up. So I'll add that to our classwork. Remember now, you're going to have a makeup assignment as well. So you're going to have a mental health exam and then you have a makeup quiz. All right? It's going to be under 10:09, 10:30. For some reason, that did not get assigned. I don't know why. So when you get a chance here, you're going to go ahead and refresh your tab when it assigns. Sorry about the delay here. Okay, here we go. One mental health reading. Let's go ahead and open that up. I'm going to read you that article. And then you're going to go take that quiz. I'm going to try to read you all 4 articles today. So remember, if you want to read in the gold level, you can do that. If you want to go down, you can read at a 9th grade level. If you if you're still reading at a middle school 7th grade, you can go read at 7th grade level. And this is just like I'm learning how to read, and I'm going to read at a lower level so I can understand it better. Okay? Whatever level you prefer, go to that level. That's fine. I just want you to read at a level that you're comfortable at. So, mental health, Article 1. We live in anxious times. I'm not referring to the politics dividing the country or the mass shootings or the tsunami of rape and sexual harassment accusations aimed at Hollywood moguls and other high-ranking men, or women for that matter. I'm referring to the bite your nails, can't get to sleep, hyperventilating before a big test anxiety many teens are experiencing when they stagger and stumble into adulthood. We spend more time online as we measure our worth by likes earned by followers captured. Our young people and not so young rest of us are developing a skewed view of life. On the screen, existence is filtered through a rose-colored lens. No one posts a photo where they're not looking their best. Unless, of course, it's some kind of obnoxious humble brag. Check social media if you doubt. In the virtual world, the messiness of existence has been scrubbed out. Parties are joyous, friends loyal, scenery breathtaking, clothes fashionable, food gourmet, travel exotic. In short, life is fabulous. The tough daily slog all of us face. Since that doesn't translate well into Facebook or Instagram, our plugged-in children see mostly sham and charade. But because reality is relentless and unforgiving, sooner or later the unavoidable happens. Our young people compare their very real lives to that make-believe of screen, and they find theirs. And they find theirs falling short. They grow apprehensive, fretful, for the chasm between pretend and real often looms insurmountable. No wonder teachers are reporting more anxious students, and college counselors are warning that young adults are overwhelmed emotionally and mentally. The American College Health Association reported a big jump in undergraduates feeling overwhelming anxiety, from 50% in 2011 to 62% in 2016. And a recent New York Times story revealed that high school administrators are seeing more anxious students in school too. Anxiety is now the most common mental health disorder in the U.S., affecting nearly 1/3 of adolescents and adults. It's the most common reason students seek counseling in college. Certainly, we can't blame the age of anxiety on social media alone. Storm clouds were gathering long before Facebook, YouTube took over our lives. So many other factors make modern life a labyrinth where unreasonable expectations and too many choices nibble away at our peace of mind. With our kids, there's always one other extracurricular activity to tack on to college resume or one more AP class to add to an already packed class schedule. Don't forget shoehorning the private SAT tutor and the strength endurance coach either. Also, online learning. We want to ensure children have a bright future, regardless of emotional or financial cost. For a long time, I subscribed to the widely held belief that today's teens were too coddled, too fragile, too managed, and too scheduled. They lacked the resilient oomph of my generation. I blame permissive, overprotective parents. Now I realize this was an oversimplification. These kids have come of age at a time when technology is transforming everything at a dizzying pace, when terrorism incidents and mass shootings are far too common, and when an economy that favors the rich keeps middle-class families struggling. Thanks to the ubiquitous screens, have a front row seat. Adolescents have a front row seat to all this disruption. As parents, we must balance pushing too hard with making life easier for our kids. Balance our desire to rescue the need for them to learn life's hard lessons. The path isn't always clear, and I write this from experience. We shouldn't and can't promise our children perpetual happiness, nor protect them from the common irritations that make up everyday life. But I wonder if in this hyper-connected world, we shouldn't also make a special effort to remind them that life, as presented on Instagram, Snapchat, is two-dimensional and about as real as shapeshifters and fire-breathing beasts. Okay, then right there now you're going to see the quiz. You're going to start that quiz. So how do I do that? I'm going to go here to Mental Health Reading Quiz 1. What is this article mostly about? As we spend more time online, as we measure our worth by likes earned and follows captured, our young people, the not so young, rest of us are. Go ahead and read through your 3 answers there. Our young people compare their very real lives to the make-believe of screen, and they find theirs falling short. The American College Health Association reported a big jump in undergraduates feeling overwhelming anxiety from 50% in 2011 to 62% in 2016. Should say overwhelmingly anxious or overwhelming anxiety. I guess feeling overwhelming anxiety. Yeah, that works. Anxiety is now the most common mental health disorder in the U.S., affecting nearly how many adolescents and adults? We want to ensure children have a bright future, regardless of emotional or financial costs. This statement best represents the perspective of a parent, sibling, or teacher. These kids come of age at a time when technology is transforming everything at a dizzying pace. True or false? Which statement best represents anxiety caused by social media? I worry about who I follow on social media. I worry about advertisements I view on social media. I worry about how many likes I get on a photo. Our young people compare the very real lives to the make-believe of screen, and they find theirs falling. Long or short? No wonder teachers are reporting more anxious students, and college counselors are warning that young adults are overwhelmed emotionally and mentally. So you're going to go ahead and finish. You're going to go ahead and finish this quiz right here. Quiz 1. Okay. Very good. Once you get done with that, we're going to go to the Mental Health Reading 2. Eating disorders, the dark side of figure skating. Editor's note. Editor's note. This article discusses eating disorders. If you think or know someone who might be struggling with an eating disorder, talk to an adult you trust. Call the National Eating Disorders Association confidential hotline, 1-800-931-2237. The figure skating competition grabbed headlines at the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea. However, 2 competitors who made a huge impact 4 years ago are absent from the games. U.S. skater Gracie Gold, 18 at the Sochi Olympics 4 years ago, seemed destined for bigger things after winning team bronze, while 15-year-old Russian skater Yulia Lipnitskaya, I don't know about that one, guys and girls, dazzled the crowds with her flexibility, grace, and technique, and the way to gold. But due to eating disorders, both have quit the sport permanently. Skating blends sport with art and requires competitors to combine technical excellence with creative inspiration. A gold-winning routine is not merely a combination of flawless jumps and spins. It also captures the imagination with the aesthetic and incorporates the choice of music, choreography, costume, and in some skaters' mind, their appearance. Many skaters believe that they're being judged not merely on the crispness of their triple flaws, but their figures as well. This has long had toxic consequences in terms of mental health. But until Gold's announcements last October that she would not be competing in the Pyeongchang Games, as she was still undergoing treatment for depression, anxiety, and eating disorder, this remained an underside of skating that many have been reluctant to acknowledge. Gracie coming forward was radical, said Joe Johnson, a Team USA figure skater. We're now seeing an unprecedented number of people talking about mental health issues in skating. It's not something that's ever really been open dialogue about. Skating is taxing emotionally and physically. You train 6 hours a day for about 1,000 hours a year. All this to compete for just a few minutes. A lot of skaters keep quiet about any worries due to perceived fear of appearing weak. In a sport where athletes push themselves to extreme to achieve perfection, a lot of young female skaters feel pressure to fit their bodies to a stereotype where slimmer, smaller, and more streamlined is seen as better. During my first couple of years of competing as a skater, I was struggling with an eating disorder, said Karina Monta, another Team USA skater. I felt I had to achieve the standard of what female athletes in the sport look like, but pressure is not self-inflicted. There are numerous stories of training camps where female figure skaters competing in singles have had their weights compared with those of medalists from other countries. Those competing in pairs have been told they're too heavy to be lifted. A lot of coaches will argue that their comments on a girl's weight are performance-based, said Johnson. Some coaches have a saying that fat don't fly. Regardless of your weight, height, natural build, they believe that you're outside a certain weight range, you won't be able to execute jumps, and that's what they use to justify these statements. Under pressure, many gifted young skaters find themselves reaching the national and international level just as their body is naturally changing as they go through puberty. The pressure of competition as well as formed from their coaches can push them to deliberate starvation in an attempt to hold back biology. Encouraged by her coach, Lipinskaya, I have no idea how to say that, would sometimes subsist on a diet consisting entirely of powdered nutrients. The rhetoric in skating, which I think causes a lot of eating disorders, if you starve yourself, your body won't change. Said Manta. A lot of girls are terrified about their bodies, filling out, starting to get curves, and the changing physics of their jumps, and so they'll try to starve off the natural process. These girls who've gone a year without a period, there are girls who've gone a year without a period because they're not feeding themselves properly. The physical consequences can be drastic. Skaters needing to be robust enough to withstand forces up to 100 times their body weight when landing a jump. And the suspect that sizable portion of stress fractures, and many suspect that a sizable portion of stress fractures and major injuries which afflict young skaters are linked to inadequate nutrition. If you're not eating properly, your bone density will be lower and injuries will happen, said British dancer Penny Coombs, who is now trying to advise younger athletes on the subject. A huge amount of energy and strength goes into a routine. But because of this old-fashioned aesthetic for what female skaters should look like, you see these young girls striving for something that's not realistic, that's just not realistic. In our sport, most of the time, you're being told all the negatives, what you're doing wrong and what doesn't look good. And yet, to perform under that pressure, you have to go there with so much belief and confidence in your body and your ability. Eating disorders are not unique to female athletes. While pressures regarding body image are undoubtedly most intense for female skaters, there are also male skaters who feel similar expectations. While women are told they need to look super skinny, be super light, and liftable, men feel pressure to make their limbs look longer, said Johnson. I've met guys at the elite level who got injured because they're restricting themselves to the exact number of calories required to see a 4-minute program through. There was one skater who would calculate his meals so he had exactly as many calories as he burned. Anything else he ate during the day, he would throw up because he was afraid of that weight, the extra calories, would affect his line quality. He never felt he could talk about his problems with anyone else and be taken seriously. So what can skating do to tackle this hidden pandemic? The U.S. Olympic Committee has dedicated nutritionists and sports psychologists who have been appointed specifically to advise skaters in the national team on these topics, said Barbara Reichert, director for U.S. figure skating. However, Johnson and others believe there needs to be more done to change the mentalities in skating right down from regional levels. It's a very nuanced issue, and people don't realize the amount of damage a one-off comment at coaching camp can do. The main rhetoric which needs to go away is people actually complimenting a skater for looking skinny. There's a culture of comparisons and coaches telling skaters that they believe a healthy body looks like, and there's enough pressure on the young athletes in this sport to begin with. Very good. Done. Start the quiz. You're going to go to quiz 2, mental health reading. Mental health reading quiz. What details from the article show how U.S. figure skating has changed? Read 2 details from the article. What one best describes the central idea of the article? Read 2 summaries of the article. What one defines the theme? Which idea did the author develop least in the article about figure skaters and eating disorders? Which sentence accurately summarizes how Joe Johnson and Penny Coombs feel about eating disorders and figure skating? During my first couple of years competing as a skater, I was struggling with an blank blank, said Karina Monta. Finish those assignments. You're going to go to your numbered tab section. You're going to go all the way over to purple, mental health unit, and you're going to start filling out your mental health reading assignments. Thank you very much. That is what we're doing today for night 1022 and 1023.